Dr. Heilman and Board of Trustees and graduates and guests, thank you for allowing me to participate in this special occasion in the life of these graduates and this outstanding institution. It's an honor and privilege to be with you tonight. On behalf of the Board of Regents, I want to thank each of you in this room for your dedication to this institution. Each of you recognize the value of what these young people, and of all ages, I should say, have been going through in order to achieve this dream of theirs. Whether you're a parent, a husband or a wife, or an extended family member, each of you have played a very important part in helping these graduates reach this milestone. I also want to join the President in saying thanks to the faculty and board and staff and administration of the institution for their commitment to serving the needs of these learners. I know how much your admiration and support means to these students. To the graduates, I express my sincere congratulations. The difference in those who are successful and those who are not is found not only in the knowledge they possess, but the effort they expend to utilize and act upon that knowledge. Clearly, your academic accomplishments thus far are reflected in your participation in these graduation ceremonies tonight. You've obviously not only been learning, but expending the effort necessary to reach this level of attainment. So I first want to say thanks for recognizing that a better tomorrow for you is dependent on continuing to learn and grow. A famous poet once said that education is not the filling of the pail, but the lighting of the fire. And that's what I hope you have gained during your time here at Barton Community College. The United States is called the land of opportunity, and nowhere is this more evident than at commencement ceremonies like this here in Kansas and across our nation. Even with the recent struggles of our world, our nation, our state, and our local communities, and their economies have endured, opportunity still knocks. For many of you, it's knocking right now in the form of employment offers, continuing academic careers, knowledge that enables you to make the dream you brought to this college a reality. The new economy, as we call it now, that you are entering is one in which knowledge and skill, adaptability, a great work ethic, and a desire to continuously learn and improve are essential. According to a recent, I thought I'd throw this one in because I think it may be a attention getter when you add it up. According to a recent study and based on our most recent census, the difference in your lifetime earnings for not achieving this and achieving this is approximately $400,000. Over your lifetime. This is what kind of a difference it can make in your earnings potential in your career. The other thing I want you to know, you've helped our state and nation. And you're going, how have I done that? I've just tried to get through college. We have a goal in this country right now because we're trying to be competitive with the rest of the world. And we know we have to make some improvements in this goal. And we're trying to reach a goal of having 60% of the people in this country have either a credential, certificate, credential, an associate's degree, or a bachelor's degree. We're at about 41% in Kansas right now. We've got a ways to go. But guess what? It's important, and you're making a difference in helping us get to that goal. So not only are you bettering yourself by completing this work, but guess what? You're contributing to our state and our nation, and we thank you for that. Thomas Jefferson once said that if a nation expects to be ignorant and free, it expects what never was and never will be. Yes, we believe and have an abiding hope in this country that if we are well educated, we will create a better future. This idea brings us together this evening because each of us, student, parent, educator, relative, community member, knows that we have made wise investments in the education of these graduates. Now, graduates, you must decide how you move forward to realize a return on that investment for those who've gathered here tonight to celebrate this with you. As noted earlier, the new economy requires us to be more highly knowledgeable and skilled and adaptable and work hard and continuously learn. And these are certainly essential ingredients. However, I want to briefly share with you some personal characteristics that I think and I've observed, because guess what? I'm in my 42nd year. You can tell I'm great, right? I mean, yeah, it's obvious. I've observed a lot of people in my career, and I wanted to share with you tonight some personal characteristics that I think, if you will think about these in your own life and follow them, it's my idea you're not only going to be successful in your career, but you're going to have a wonderful, rich life. The first of these is a positive attitude. People who practice this are often characterized as being hopeful, as seeing the glass as half full, not half empty. They have a cheerful countenance and a perspective that make us want to be around them. You know, people who are happy, you like to be around them. They try to build on successes rather than be burdened by setbacks. They are the people who have found a peace and a balance within themselves that allows them to keep a realistic yet hopeful perspective on whatever befalls them in life. Even in the midst of a society that encourages us to externalize the blame for the difficulties we face, it's always somebody else's fault. The people with a positive attitude are the ones who realize that they're in charge of how they react to any given situation and then assert their will to make sure they look at it in a positive way. Next, as I've observed people who've earned the respect and admiration of others, it seemed to me that each of them has possessed a special kind of humility. One that allows us to feel close to them, allows us to see them as just one of us, and yet provides us with a role model of excellence to which we want to some way aspire. The minister of my church, pastor, once defined humility, and I've always loved this definition. Humility, he said, is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of others more. It's a trait not born out of the need to be better than someone else, but out of the need to learn from and serve others as you try to improve yourself. It includes an understanding of the value and uniqueness of each person and a realization that the more I know, the more I find out how little I know. Another characteristic I encourage you to pursue is integrity. I've always defined integrity as, my word is gold. You can take it to the bank. One author defines it as having a balance between courage and consideration. A person of integrity has courage of their convictions, yet an open-mindedness and civility that allows for differences of opinion and avoids personal attacks. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you do shouts so loud in my ears, I can't hear what you're saying." Persons of integrity go about doing what they believe to be right and good and hold truth as a sacred covenant. Next, I would ask that you have a respect for others. This may be one of the most challenging traits to practice. There is an intensity about our times that is leading us to simply talk past one another. We've learned through the bitter struggles of the 20th and 21st centuries that the human condition can only be improved if tolerance prevails. Only where there is tolerance can there be the spirit of cooperation and fellowship necessary to advance the common welfare. But there is genuine tolerance only in a society in which people can be absolutely convinced of what they believe, but recognize the fact that maybe their closest friend believes something totally different than they do, and they can respect that. Therefore, I ask you to aspire to have a respect for others that is patient and kind and tolerant. A respect that seeks an empathy with others, even in the midst of strong personal convictions. And finally, I've observed in those people who I admire and who've been highly successful a passion for learning. A passion which realizes that only the educated are truly free. This trait involves not only an initial competence in what we choose to do, but also an intrinsic motivation to never stop learning. And we were just talking about that tonight, weren't we, President, about how important it is. I mean, I thought I was going to graduate from college and I don't have to worry about that again. Here I am 42 years later, and it seems like all I've been doing is learning my whole life. Those of us gathered here tonight know that you have the ability and the will to learn whatever you think you need to know to be successful. But what I want to ask you to consider is to make your life more than just success in terms of I made a good living and so forth, which is important. But I want you to think about a life that says, when I look back on it, I go, what a great life I have lived, a rich and a full life. As I conclude my comments, I'm reminded of a statement made by the late Claiborne Pell, a U.S. Senator from Rhode Island that served from 61 to 97. Anybody ever heard of Pell Grants? I bet there's someone here who has. He was responsible for them. He once said, "The strength of the United States is not the gold at Fort Knox or the weapons of mass destruction that we have. but the sum total of the education and the character of its people. Graduates, you are the strength of Kansas and the strength of our nation. You and your fellow graduates across the state and country represent our future, and I'm inspired by the future that I see before me today. Please know we're proud of you, we care about you, and we want the best for you. Congratulations and best wishes.